Let's meet someone who owns 38% of the market share in the caravan industry. I'm Kate Save. The Inspired CEO starts now. Welcome to The Inspired CEO, where each episode we explore the innovative wellness practices that are driving success and longevity in the modern business world. Gerry Ryan is a Melbourne-based entrepreneur who founded JAYCO Australia in 1975, the nation's leading recreational vehicle manufacturer who has produced over 280,000 caravans and motorhomes. A passionate sports supporter, he founded GreenEDGE Cycling and part owns the Melbourne Storm and Southside Flyers. His contributions earned him the Order of Australia and Sports Australia Hall of Fame induction. So thank you, Gerry, for coming in here today. You have got so many accolades, you've done so much so far, and you're still doing more. You're not in retirement yet, are you?
No, I'm not, but Kate, you know, it's not just me, it's the family support, it's the friendships that have helped me get there, and more importantly, the employees that allow me the time to do all those things that I probably shouldn't be doing.
And I've listened to many podcasts and you always get asked about, why didn't you stay in your lane? Like, stick with caravans. Why did you diversify into so many different businesses and investments? What inspired you to do that?
Well, people coming to me with a great idea and being able to assist them, like we looked at building a dinosaur once, and now we have a thriving business in animatronics company called Creature Technology Company in Port Melbourne. And we're the best in the world. We supply Universal Studios, Disney and others. And from that, we formed a production company, theatre company, that we now, we've produced Warhorse, King Kong, Strictly Ballroom, Muriel's Wedding, and now we have 6 shows around the world with Moulin Rouge.
I have seen Moulin Rouge, it's spectacular, wow. So that is just, entertainment is so far from where you started. So can you take me back to what inspired you, because you grew up in Bendigo, to get into motorhomes and caravans?
Well, it was I walked into the job as a filling job with this company, and I was 22 looking for a 6-month project. I'd left AMP in their property department studying accountancy, and I didn't want to be an accountant for the rest of my life. I learned how to add up. That was enough, and so I was at a company called Sunwagon Camper Trailer for 3 months. They made me a foreman, and 3 months later, production manager running 22 people.
Wow.
Had the opportunity to go to the States to a company called JAYCO. The rest is history. Became friends with the owner and his family, and I decided, came back with a head full of ideas. No one wanted to listen to me. So I decided to set up my own business 9 months later.
So that first step where you were getting promoted so quickly in your career and having 22 people underneath you, you must have had great leadership even from a really young age without the experience, or?
Well, I didn't realise that, but you know, a couple of people have come forth and said, hey, at a young age they saw that in me. I probably didn't. But I must have something.
Did you play sport? Did it come from?
Yes, B grade football. I used to box in Jimmy Sharman's boxing tent.
Oh, wow.
Back in the days when I was 15, £5 and 16, when it used to be £10, but $10. One thing led to another.
Yeah, so that collaboration, and even as we were talking earlier, you mentioned that you can only do everything because of the people that surround you. So you're a natural born leader, whether you knew it back then or not, but you obviously inspire and motivate people and they want to work for you. So what other insights have you got about leadership?
Well, leadership is by setting example. And once it's about recruitment of the right people. I think that people, when you look at sport or business, 60% should be based on character, and 40% on ability. You can't put character into someone, but you certainly can upskill them. So it's about recruitment, training. If you want to grow or a business wants to grow, you need to grow, and we put a lot of investment into training. And the R at the end is retain. Make sure that it's a safe and happy environment, and the rewards as well. So RTR, recruit, train and retain.
And I guess I know you lead by example, because I hear you do your 7,000 and something steps just to walk around the factory floor at JAYCO. How many times a week?
Twice a week. I'm there twice, or probably 3 days a week, but I go to the factory floor twice a week.
Wow. And when you're walking around, what are you looking for?
First of all, the people.
Yeah.
See how they are, if they're happy, to say hello, for them to be acknowledged. But I look around from product to parts to machinery. I just see something different.
And you talked about training. So how do you know where to train, who to train, what to train in? How do you upskill people to be as innovative as they have been for your company, to really be the leader? I mean, you're not just that 38% of market share. To get there, there's 80 other competitors or so in the market?
150 competitors, but as far as people go, we do evaluations every 3 months, and some monthly, and look at their shortcomings and look at where we can assist them in developing their skill sets, and also looking at what they're doing and how we can help them do the job with tools such as AI today. I'm an old dinosaur and I build dinosaurs, but all I know, you've got to be with the latest technology, and so you've got to give them the right tools to do the right job.
And that makes sense. If you've got the right people and you give them the tools and the rest.
Materials, and give them the right material to work with. If it's a script, if it's a building a house, or give them the right grapes to make good wine.
Yes, so tell me a little bit about that last venture with wine. So how did you get into Mitchelton? Mitchelton?
Yes, and we've got Hubert Estate at the Yarra, and we've got a vineyard at Heathcote. I got the opportunity through my American friends to spend some time in the Napa Valley every couple of years, and I always wanted to grow grapes and produce my own wine, and Mitchelton came up, and it was an iconic property. The name was a bit tired, was unloved, it was in a big stable, so we purchased it and have grown the brand in the last 10 years, and we're making some good wines.
How do you turn around a brand? So if it's a bit tired coming in, what are the steps to turn that around and to grow it, take it up again?
Well, once again, the first was to meet the staff. And I said, now write down what Mitchelton means to you. So next meeting, they all came along and said, hey, this is what Mitchelton means, and we'd like to do this. So once again, it's always about people that share the same vision, have the same passion, and have a plan. And that plan to make sure you can then execute it and make it happen.
Wow, that is incredible that you can use that same philosophy in any business. You've gone back to the people to bring in the solution.
It's always the people, you know, and you look at balance sheets and you've got machinery or buildings, but you've got to value the people. And once again, without people, I always say business isn't complicated. It's the people in it. If you get to understand the people, you've got a chance of being successful.
And now you're very passionate about sport. So tell me some of these sports you're involved with. I know you have some horses, a Melbourne Cup winner.
3 Melbourne Cup winners.
3 Melbourne Cup winners.
Very lucky with Americane and rekindling with Lloyd and Nick Williams. I'm very fortunate that they invited me into their group, and so we won 2 there, so 3 Melbourne Cups. But
wow.
We do a bit of breeding, but winning a race in Bendigo, my old hometown, winning the Bendigo Cup was probably one of the biggest enjoyments I've ever got, because I grew up in Bendigo, never ever expecting to ever own a racehorse.
Yeah. Well, we holiday at Bendigo every year over Christmas at the caravan park opposite the Bendigo racecourse. So I see all the horses running and training, and it's a beautiful place, Bendigo. I think it's very underrated.
It is, you know, it certainly has grown. It's got great art galleries, and but sporting, at Bendigo Racetrack has been a favourite of mine to get back to Bendigo and win some races.
Sounds good. Now, you also, you spend a lot of time in the Gambie and you go caravanning. So tell me a little bit about what your involvement in the Gambie is.
In the Gambie, well, we've got Mitchelton Winery and the local brewery in the Gambie. So we make a bit of beer and some whiskey and a very good gin. We came second at the recent awards. So, but I've got the farm, that's my happy place. And we've got horses and some brood mares and some foals. So, and more importantly, my grandchildren.
Oh, how old are they?
14, 13, 11, 7, 6.
Oh, you have plenty of grandchildren.
Not enough.
That's incredible. I know my parents feel the same about my 2 girls that are 10 and 12. That's it for them. It's just grandchildren. They love it.
Well, the only reason I had children is to get grandchildren.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah. You get more time with the grandchildren.
Certainly do. And Papa G, they call me, and love hanging around with the kids, and they get a bit spoiled.
I can imagine, because you don't need to do the disciplining. They've got parents for that.
Correct, send them home.
Yeah. And some other sports teams, so Melbourne Storm.
Melbourne Storm, you know, I was very lucky to be invited onto the board many years ago, then invited in to take on the private ownership, and it's a great club.
Yeah.
You know, I always talk about the culture. It's all about culture in organisations, and you know, from the top, and got a great chairman in Matty Tripp and a great board. But you know, Frank Panisi, and what do you say about Mr. Bellamy? But it's a great organisation.
I must say, I'd never really been into rugby, and when my husband suggested we join up to Melbourne Storm, I'd never been to a game before. The very first game I went to, I was like, why have I only gone to AFL? It's such a family environment. It's got the cheerleaders and the fire that goes off, and it's even the ground where it's played at, you can see everything. I love the sport after never knowing anything about it. But
well, it's a great game, and as you said, it's very family orientated.
Yeah.
I've always said, and I joined the St Kilda board going back in the late 80s. I was there 11 years, and the first year I was there, I said to the board, what business are we in? They said, what do you mean business? We're a football club, we're a social club. I said, no, what business? I said, we're in the entertainment industry. The segment happens to be sport, and the product happens to be football. And you've got to engage the fans. And Melbourne Storm, they do it so well.
And netball, the women's netball?
Yeah. Storm are aligned with Lightning
Yes.
in Queensland, Sunshine Coast. So they've won a couple of championships, so it's been great. And
GreenEDGE, how long have you been involved there?
We started setting up the organisation in 10. It took us 2 years to get the licence. There's only 18 licences, and you've got to jump through a lot of hoops and qualifications. And so we started in 2012. So next year we hope to get back on track a little bit. The last couple of years coming out of COVID was a bit difficult because I couldn't get across there and spend some time. But next year we're hoping, mind you, we did win a lot of races this year, but we certainly want to do better next year. And we've got some new recruits, and Luke Clapp. We're going to see lots of him, and Ben O'Connor.
Oh, fantastic.
So he came second in the Worlds, and then the women. So we've got a great team there as well. So very proud of what they've achieved, and looking forward to seeing some wins this year.
I'm sure you are. And once I heard about the regulations in the sport, and they talk about these biological passports.
Oh, the most rigid for drug checking of any other sport. And,
really?
you know, that's up to the sports to do it. And it costs the team €200,000 in testing each year. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's how serious the UCI cycling body is about drugs in sport.
Incredible. And bike exchange. So I think that is just such a fantastic program, because I know we certainly have some bikes at home, and you know, you're always wanting to exchange a bike. How did you come up with that?
Once again, someone approached me with a great idea, and so we put some investment in, and not that I get involved in that business at all. The son, it comes under his watch. So yes.
Is that global or just Australian?
Global.
Global. And so how many years has that been going?
It's been going about 8 years, 9 years.
Fantastic. And lastly, entertainment. So the dinosaurs, the shows, so Broadway, do they hit Broadway?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, someone, Malcolm Cook and Billy May approached us a long time ago, probably 16 years ago, and it was Bill that had this idea about bringing dinosaurs back to life.
Right.
Got the licence from the BBC and $25,000 to do a feasibility study. So 9 months later, 18 full life-size dinosaurs. We set up a show in Sydney. We've got a workshop in Port Melbourne, which is still there today.
Yeah. So
from that one show, we became a second show. We got approached by DreamWorks, Jeffrey Katzenberg and Steven Spielberg, to take the movie into an arena show. So we won the Tony Award for King Kong. We did King Kong. That's the production side. Then the theatre company, we then toured both, had Train Your Dragon and Walking with Dinosaurs.
Oh, incredible.
So it toured for about 5 years. Then we did Warhorse, Strictly Ballroom, Muriel's Wedding, and King Kong.
Yes.
And we've got now Moulin Rouge, which is playing in 6 countries around the world.
Spectacular show. I saw it twice. I love Moulin Rouge. It is. And I think even my older brother saw it and went, "You need to see this show." Yeah. And I was like, "Since when do you watch musicals?" But
no, it was a great, it's, you've got to be consistent and think long term. But we won 10 Tonys, which is unheard of for a musical. And so, no, it's been a fantastic journey, and I keep pinching myself and thinking, well, have I actually done that?
Yeah, because entertainment is a really tough business to be in. Yeah.
Very tough.
Tougher than the others, or where would you say on par?
Tougher, financially tougher.
Yeah, yeah.
So only 20% are successful.
Gosh, well, one of my very best girlfriends who I grew up with in Mount Martha, Nikki Whelan, so she's come on the show before. Do you know Nikki?
I know Nikki.
Well, she's out here from the States right now. Yeah. And anyway, in her interview, we talked about how tough that entertainment industry is. And, she has a company to... it's a company, like being an actor is a company, and to work within that industry, it's quite a small industry, yet very, very tough to actually make it work. And most people who go over there don't, and I think she's been 17 years and still loves it, but tough.
It's tough, and one thing about Moulin Rouge is that what I've got so much pleasure out of, not just to show that about 14 of those cast were able to get mortgages because they had contracts for 3 years.
Oh, wow.
And that's the problem. The show might open up for 6 months and shut down. So it's giving them the opportunity to have some job security. So a lot of satisfaction. And the people, that they work so hard.
They do, don't they?
But today they might be on stage, next day they're serving behind a coffee shop counter.
And nobody sees that. You see the glamour of Hollywood, but you don't see how hard they work. I've never seen someone work as hard as Nikki. She is constantly doing her lines, going to auditions, just always on. Never ever gets that break. So very different to how it all appears. So finally, tell me, what is next? What are you looking at next? Or
well, everything evolves. You know, JAYCO, we also build portable housing.
right.
So it's a growth market for us.
Is that under the JAYCO brand?
That's under the JAYCO umbrella. It's a company called Gerval, but we've been doing it for 40 years, cabins. There's opportunities there.
And those mini homes?
Motorhomes, that's a growth area. We've got a rental business. So there's lots happening in that area in the theatre world.
Electric vehicles, sorry, going back
a little way off. And I personally believe electric vehicles in 5 years' time won't be the same vehicles. You'll see a mixture of hydrogen. So I think that there'll be an oversupply of electric vehicles. So 5 years' time, totally different vehicles.
So watch and learn, people. Don't go out there just down that path just yet.
Well, that's only my view, but I get the opportunity to look at what's happening around the world, follow trends in the auto industries. You know, China, I was in Beijing 5 months ago, the States 6 months ago, and Europe 2 months ago. So I had the opportunity to see what's happening on a world-wide basis, and the Japanese are very smart. They're going hydrogen. So it's, you know, once again, the world's changing. People need to change with it.
Yeah. So would you attribute your success to having, it sounds like you've got quite an open mind, and if you're traveling, you're seeing lots of things. So when you're traveling, what are you looking for to see? Innovation doesn't just exist. That has to formulate in your mind. What is that process that helps you to keep evolving?
Well, I just look for new ideas, but I never say the word I can't.
Oh, okay.
And I don't allow that to be said to me. Tell me why and how you're going to do it. And I use the word why.
Yes, it gets your brain going, doesn't it? You really have to think when someone asks you why. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Last question. How do you manage everything that you do? How do you find balance? Where do you take your break? How do you manage your health? You're in peak shape. So what do you do to stay healthy?
First of all, time. Manage your time. Unnecessary activities, get rid of them. I'm a very good delegator. I eat reasonably well. And enjoy a glass of red wine.
That's good for you.
It is.
Polyphenols in there, very beneficial. Thank you very much for coming today, Gerry. This is the Inspired CEO, and we'll be right back.